Our next question comes from There Are No Available Names. He says, does the excuse that someone isn't motivated ever bother you? I often hear people say they lack motivation as an excuse to not go to the gym or train or whatever. I believe that this is usually actually someone just offloading blame onto something nebulous like the universe. My brother is really bad about using motivation as an excuse to not train, and it bothers me probably more than it should. How can I explain to him that what he lacks isn't motivation? Everyone loses motivation. What he lacks is discipline. If you fail to go to the gym because of a lack of discipline, then you are accepting the blame is one and nothing else. Motivation is a poor excuse. Discipline is far more important to me. What do you think, Ramsey? Should I just get over myself? Okay. I wrote back this reply. I said, motivation is just the reason why you do the things you do. You act the way you act because of your desire and belief. If you choose not to train, it's because you don't want to, because you don't believe it will make your life any better. How can anyone discipline themselves into doing things they don't want to do that they don't believe are actually helpful? Discipline is belief. My friends, discipline is... let me amend that. Not discipline. Let's throw discipline out the window for a minute. Discipline is your mom spanking you with her shoe when you're a little kid, when you made a mess. Maybe not now, because in a lot of places that's illegal and your mom would go to jail. But when I was a kid, we got spanked with shoes for doing stuff we weren't supposed to do, and that was discipline. So what are you supposed to do? Get out your shoes and whack your little brother and say, go to the gym, little bro? No, man. Motivation is belief. Motivation is the belief that what you're going to do is going to be helpful and productive. If you're not motivated to go to the gym, it's because you don't want to. It's because you don't believe that going to the gym is going to make you happier. You don't believe it. You don't want it because you don't believe it. At an intellectual level, Sure, we know some things. We know that if we improve various facets of our life, the way we move, the way we eat, the way we breathe, the way we think, that we will get positive results. Our bodies will get stronger and healthier and look better and probably feel better. We know that up here, but we don't believe it in here. And we don't believe that having a body that looks better and is stronger and feels better is going to be worth it. Why? Because, well, we're probably getting a positive reward, positive triggers in our brain, dopamine, serotonin responses in our brain from doing other things, by spending our time doing other things. Sitting on the couch, for example, playing video games. It's fun. You get explosions of natural drugs in your brain. Having fun. Passing your time having fun. Being completely inactive and asleep in your physical body. It feels rewarding immediately, and so we believe it immediately. Ultimately, it's an illusion. It's a facade. It's a lie. But we believe that lie because it's comfortable right now. It's giving us that hit right now. The ability to sacrifice right now for something better later is complex, my friends. It is complicated. It is unbelievably complicated. There are very, very few animals that are able to even wrap their primitive minds around that concept. Humans being one of the few animals who are actually able to sacrifice, to even have a concept of what the future is, that there is a future. You know that story, the grasshopper and the ants? The grasshopper and the ants, I believe it was one of Aesop's fables. I believe I also reiterated the story once on this channel, but let's go back there again and talk about the grasshopper and the ants. So there's a grasshopper, and the grasshopper is playing and just eating grass and having fun. And the ants look up at that grasshopper, and but they don't pay much heed to it because they're busy. They're busy collecting food for the winter because those ants want to stay alive during the winter. And the grasshopper looks down at the ants and says, "Silly ants, go have fun and play. Just, take no thought for tomorrow. It's an imaginary construct. Well, come play with me. I'm having fun." And the ants say, "Sorry, the winter's coming. We're going to exercise some faith in the fact that the winter is coming, so we're storing up food right now, even though it's inconvenient, even though it's not fun right now, so that we can have a reward later. The better reward of being able to survive and not freeze to death and starve to death and die." And the grasshopper thinks that's silly, and ultimately he freezes to death and starves to death and dies. So your brother doesn't want to go to the gym, and he is telling you it's motivation. He's not motivated. He's not moved upon by his own force of will. That's all motivation means. It's just the reason you do anything. If you sit on your butt all day, it's because you are motivated to sit on your butt. It's because it's what you want, because it's what you believe gives you the optimal result. Not what you think gives you the optimal result, but what you believe. Everything you do or choose not to do is an act of faith. Faith is not blind belief in something that may or may not be true. Faith is action or inaction based on our choices, based on our belief of what will happen as a consequence of our choices. I'm going to go to the gym, and I'm going to train because I believe that will make me happier to some degree. I believe that will improve my quality of life to some degree. I believe that will bring me some sort of fulfillment. I'm going to stay home and play video games because I believe that will be fun. Those are both acts of faith to some extent. And we reap what we sow. Can you make your brother see that? No, because ultimately the only voice we will ever listen to is our own. And so when we ask questions like this, when we say, "Hey, Ramsey, I have a question for you," what you are hoping for, you might not think it, but what you're really hoping for in your heart of hearts is to hear me repeat your thoughts in my voice, so that you can experience the lovely sensation of confirmation bias and feel like, aha, I was right. My own thoughts echoed in somebody else's voice. Somebody's magnificent, manly, deep voice has said it, and so it must be true. The only way you're going to make a change is if you listen to your own voice. If you go up to a morbidly obese person and you say, "Hey, fatty, what you need to do is stop eating like a fat lard and go exercise." Well, you know what? That's not going to go over well. You're not going to make a friend. They're probably not going to listen to you. They're not going to change their behavior because of what you just said. You're just going to make somebody angry. You're going to make everybody in that equation feel bad. Because that morbidly obese person, they know everything you've just said. They know they're fat. They know they're unhealthy. They know they're a prime candidate for heart disease. They know they don't feel good about themselves. They are their own worst critic. And they know if they made positive changes, they would get positive results. But what they don't believe at that point is that the effort that it would take for them to make those changes is worth it. That it is not just worth it at a cerebral level. Yeah, we know it's worth it in theory. But what we don't believe is that we can do it, that we can be the type of person to do difficult things, that we can be the type of person to make sacrifices, that we can be the type of person to voluntarily submit ourselves to pain and suffering. You can't change your brother's mind. He has to hear his own voice telling him, get out there and train. He has to hear his own voice tell him that it's worth it to get out there and train. You can get out there and train. It's going to be okay if you get out there and train. The pain, I accept it if I get out there and train. If he comes to you asking for your advice, this is a different thing. If he says, hey, can you help me to get out there and train? Can you help me to go to the gym? Can you give me the program I need? Can you give me the advice that I need? Then we're going to have a very important difference. You're going to say those words, all right, here's what you need to do. You come to the gym, you do this program, you do these things. And suddenly he's not hearing your voice, he's hearing his own voice, his own inner voice, his own thoughts repeated with your words. How do you get another person interested in hearing you, is what you're asking me ultimately. Unfortunately, it has to come to the point where living the way that we live becomes worse than the alternative. And for a lot of people, this comes in the form of catastrophe. Perhaps an unhealthy man survives a heart attack, and his doctor tells him, "You're lucky to be alive. If you want to stay alive for the next few years, you better make these changes to your diet and your exercise routine and so on." And so, motivated by fear of death, this man makes some positive changes and thinks to himself, oh, if only I had made these changes before, my quality of life could have been so much better. I wouldn't have had that heart attack, etc., etc. What's that actor's name? The actor who played Ernest P. Worrell. The late Varney was his last. Was it Paul Varney? I don't remember. But he died of lung cancer, I believe. He used to smoke a lot. He smoked like a pack of cigarettes a day, sometimes multiple packs of cigarettes a day. And, this actor, comedian, fascinating fellow, man. He volunteered for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and he appeared in character for hundreds of children who requested to see this at the time, very popular character from movies and TV shows come into hospitals, and he entertained sick kids dying of cancer in their hospital beds. And he never once let these sick kids down. But then when he got cancer himself, his doctor told him, man, it's the smoking. That's why. And immediately, cold turkey, he threw all his cigarettes in the trash and he quit. But by that point, it was too late. And he ended up succumbing to the cancer. And it's unfortunate. It is unfortunate. So, great comedic acting talent was lost to the world because Well, maybe you didn't like Ernest at all. I thought he was entertaining as a kid. But he was a good guy, man. He was a good quality human being. And, it was a loss to the world of entertainment. And definitely lost all those sick kids in the hospitals who loved him, right? What if he had that epiphany beforehand, before it got bad, before he was stricken with the reality of impending death? What if he had made that change before? It's no use asking what if, man. It's no use asking what if. Let me tell you something right now. You already have a death sentence over your head. You're already going to die. There's no way to escape that. And because of that, some of us get nihilistic and we think, well, I'll just do whatever the heck I want, and I will succumb to my animal urges to be lazy and to just sit around and take the easy way out and to do nothing except gratify my guts and gratify my lizard brain inside my skull. And I will be no help to no one, not even myself. Because I believe that's the best use of my time on this planet. And if so, that's no good for you, that's no good for your family, that's no good for your community, and that's no good for the world. Therefore, it is no good at all. And that's not going to increase the happiness of anyone, not you, not in this life, not in the next. Or you can go to the other extreme, and you realize you have a death sentence hanging over your head, that your days are numbered. And you have this epiphany. Same epiphany I had. I was 21 years old, and I was hospitalized, and I spent the better part of a year in a hospital having multiple surgeries and hooked up to machines and dying, just straight up dying. And it was horrible, and it was painful, and it was thought-provoking, to say the least. Was it motivating? Oh, man. A compulsion to do things when you can't do things, when you can't do anything. When your very mobility of your body, when your voice is taken away from you, when you can't even talk anymore. When the breath, all but the last breath, is taken from your lungs. And you are staring through the veil to the other side, thinking, is it my time? I don't want to go yet. What would I do differently if I just had one more day? What would I do additionally if I just had one more year? What would I do with a mulligan if I could start over? Or if I could simply continue and have my body back, and have my health back, have my mobility back, have my voice back, have my breath back, have my legs back under me. If I could just do the basic, normal, human things that everybody takes for granted again, what would I do with that gift? How would I use it? And for months I lied in a hospital bed, filled with pain and filled with these thoughts. Thinking to myself, it hurts so badly. I've been through recovery and then back again in this hospital bed again so many times, and I don't know if I have it left in me to do this one more time, let alone 2 more times, or however many more times it takes. I don't know if I have it in me. Maybe it would be better. Maybe it would be better to just give up and die. But then there's that motivation, which is belief, which is based on desire and hope against hope. I want to keep going. I want to do more. I'm not done yet. And it was as conscious a choice as any choice I have ever made in my life. To will myself to continue living. To teach myself to walk again. To breathe normally again. To speak again. To move again. Eventually to run again. To live again. What was I motivated by? The desire, based on the knowledge that comes from that tremendous fall, that unfortunately as humans we generally have to experience. Good times create weak men, as the saying goes. Weak men create hard times. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. And the cycle, that pride cycle continues. And pride precedes the fall. And the fall to the depths of humility precede our motivation to climb out. And until your brother, or you, or both of you, realize and are able to see the depths of that abyss and how far down it goes, you will not be properly motivated to live your life on your own terms. Thank you for watching. Now get out there and train.